Hello again, everybody. Red of Half Century Plus collecting sports cards. That's since 1973. Never taken a year off collecting. We are counting down my favorite 400 cards. We are in the 80s. These are the cards I featured last week. We got a 1945-46 Carmelo Di Partova Luis Tiant Sr., a 61 Fleer in action Wilt Chamberlain, an 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey, a 1906 Fan Craze Jimmy Collins, and a 1970 Reggie Jackson All-Star featured with a couple of 1970 packs. We are going to start out today with a card from the U.S. Caramel set, and that is Mickey Cochrane. This is a tougher set to get. I looked it up, and between SGC and PSA, there are only 107 total graded cards of this one. Now, it gets a 1 because of those pinholes, which I think makes it a great deal because it presents really nice, great registration. Although back when I bought this card 25 some years ago, it wasn't graded at that time, but still got to pay lower prices because it was advertised as a poor condition card with the pinholes, but you know, a few little stains, I guess, on the back to go with it too. But man, just a really cool looking, well registered card of Mickey Cochrane, the guy that Mutt Mantle named his son after. Now this card, even though it's designated as a 32, kind of like the 48 Leaf, actually probably came out the year later. If you look at the back, and this is consistent with other cards in this set as well, it says he's 30 years old and has played 1,037 games in his career. Now that didn't happen until after the 1932 season, and he didn't turn 30 until April 6th of 1933. So most likely came out in 33. This 33 season, Mickey Cochrane had a really good year, led the league in on-base percentage at .459, hit 15 homers, 60 ribbies, hit .322. He is a great on-base guy just in his whole career. Career .419 on-base percentage for a catcher in his last 9 years in the league was over .400. He played his big years with the Philadelphia Athletics, and then ended with the Detroit Tigers, and he won his second MVP, won one with the A's, and then he won his second one with the Tigers in 1934, a team that lost the World Series to the Cardinals. But in 35, they were World Series champs, as he also had been 2 times with the A's. Career, he played 13 years, 5 World Series, a 49.8 career WAR with a .320 average and 119 home runs. Good career as a catcher, Mickey Cochrane. All right, next card to show is part of the Tinkers to Evers to Chance double play combination. This is his T205 from 1911. And this is the one of the 3 that definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And that is Joe Tinker. I think the other 2 got in because of that poem. And also because they played on some great Cubs teams of the time. Now, Joe Tinker, first let's just look at that card. I think that is a sweet looking card with those nice bright bold borders, great registration. Not sure why it's a 1.5. Well, actually, I know why. It's because there's an old tape mark on the back. Again, makes that great deal for a really cool looking card. But he was a great defensive shortstop. And in fact, he is still, at the time of his retirement, he is number 5 all-time in defensive WAR. And the only people ahead of him, this guy, Ozzie Smith, number 1, Mark Belanger, number 2, Brooks Robinson, number 3, and Cal Ripken Jr., number 4. Then we got Tinker as the number 5, and the guy right behind him is Luis Aparicio. So, you know, defensive WAR is one of those, is it a great stat? Is it not? But one thing I can tell you is these other guys right around him were great defensive players. Ones that I got to watch in their career. I guess Aparicio was pretty much at the end of his career when I saw him. But the other ones all got to watch. Great defensive players. So Tinker, and they said it at the time too, was a great defensive shortstop. So I believe it that he probably was a great defensive shortstop. He had, you know, some big years with the Cubs. They won world championships in 07 and 08. And then it took over 100 years for the next one. But did win those couple world championships. He teamed, of course, with Evers and Chance. And here they are. Evers, who we didn't like, had a big fist fight with him in one game. And Frank Chance, first baseman, for that famous double play combination. Now, Tinker always was arguing with management a little bit on salaries. And when the Cubs named Evers, a guy who he didn't really like, as their manager, he said, I want out. And he went to the Cincinnati Reds, played there for a few years. And then he was one of the first guys to jump to the Federal League, that league that just existed for a couple years in 1914 and 15. But then when they folded, he went back for one more year with the Cubs before retiring. I guess in his career, 15 years, he had a 53 career WAR. All right, next card, one that I think is why it's, I guess, in my top 100. Always loved this card as a 57 Topps, Ted Kluszewski. Now, the Reds wore those sleeveless jerseys back then, and this is pretty much what you were supposed to do with them, where sleeves underneath, even maybe short sleeves like Spell did here. But Ted Kluszewski with those pipes said no sleeves for me, and he actually went that way, playing a lot of games, and I think that just makes this a cool card. Kluszewski was a really good player too for the Reds. He had that one season, was in 1954, where he was, you can see on the back of his card here, he had 49 home runs, 141 RBIs, hit .326. That year was second in MVP voting to this guy, Willie Mays, who had an even better year. But as you see on the card there in Kluszewski, he had 40 home runs, 3 consecutive years. This year, here he still hit 35, bunch of 100 RBI years. In his career, didn't quite hit 300 home runs, in the high 200s, and just under a 300 career batting average. And he's one of my guys that, you know, I'm doing this is showing a vintage Hall of Famer of all the Hall of Famers. But Kluszewski did not quite make the Hall of Fame, so didn't quite get on that list. Now, the next guy I'm going to show, I was going through all the vintage Hall of Famers of my cards and realized, I hadn't put him in yet, the top 400. I don't know if I would have put him in my top 100 otherwise, but he would have been close. And it's still a really cool card, but I got to get him in here now. And that is Kai Kyler. That's the way they pronounced his name. His Kai was a shortened version from Kyler, so they call him Kai. His real name was Hazen Shirley Kyler, so probably not a good idea to have not a bad idea to have a nickname. This is a pretty cool card. This is his 1935 Diamond Stars. Really nice, clear image on that card. Cool background. And you can tell it's a 35 because it says that in the copyright. And when you look at his stats there on the bottom, it says hit .338 in 34 season, which makes it a 35 card. These Diamond Stars came out from 34 to 36. Now, Kai's big year was 1925 when he was a Pittsburgh Pirate. That year, he was second in MVP voting to this man, Rogers Hornsby, with a big year where he had 26 triples, which is still second all-time for one season. That year he had 220 hits, hit 357, over a 1,000 OPS, and 41 stolen bases, all while playing a solid center field. Was with the Pirates for a while, and then he was traded to the Cubs, which is the team he was playing on this card. In his career, he led the league in stolen bases 4 times, had almost 2,300 hits, 157 triples, a 321 career batting average, and 48 WAR. Our last featured card of the day is another non-Hall of Famer, but God, he sure could be there someday. And that is a 1971 Thurman Munson. Just one of the cards I thought was one of the coolest of all time, with that in-action pose. The first year that they showed in-action pitchers on cards, 1971. Got an Oakland A sliding in there, feet up. You got the All-Star Rookie designation, as Thurman was the Rookie of the Year in 1970. Back of card, love the 71 backs. 302 batting average, and I picked that one over his 1970 rookie card because this is way cooler. Now, Thurman is a guy that was a 7-time All-Star, and he only played 11 years in the league. 3-time Gold Glover, 1976 MVP, won World Championships his last 2 full seasons, 1977 and 78, and then unfortunately died in August of 1979 when he was practicing landings, takeoffs and landings with his Cessna airplane, and crashed on landing, hit a tree and went down, flames, and actually broke a vertebrae. It sounds like cervical vertebrae, so he was paralyzed and couldn't get out. The other 2 that were flying with him actually did survive the crash and got out of the fire, but Thurman did not. But in that short 11-year career, I think with both his superior offensive and defensive performances as a catcher, I think he definitely has a shot. You're going to look at Buster Posey coming in here with a similar career. Thurman had a 46 career WAR, which is pretty, yeah. Kyler there just had a 48. Tinker was just over 50. Mickey Cochrane, first guy we talked about, was 49, 40, or almost 50. So he's right in that range, and he did it in just 11 seasons. So I think he's got a good chance to one day get enshrined. And then we're going to follow our pack series here, showing a 1971 card with a 1971 pack. This is a 3rd series pack. Now, Thurman was in the 1st series. And it's got one of these coin inserts. So I think I've got one of those coins around here that I was going to show. That's what they look like. So that was inserted in that pack. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And it's time to go watch some baseball.